Thank you once again for joining us today at Eastern News 24. I see the bike and konye chiri ya zelo. I see no bossing nketa mana na inama na ya dike echi na echi ada agwụ otu anyị kwuru otu akwa ya dịrịrị ise ise dịka o si dị n'ụbọchị uruchi nketa wetara unu ya bụ ozi n'ilu akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24 gbasara maka ya bụ ife na-eme n'obodo nọ n'ime ya anụ nwere onwe ndị Igbo na-azọ ozi eji maka ya wee ebe bụ according to one of the Biafran activists wetara ya bụ ozi quote United Nations International Criminal Court nke ICC wee malụ in shock as federal government of Nigeria to give 10 million to testify against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in court. Hear the news in details. All right, this is according to one of the best activists. I will need akwụkwọ. I am ya afa manunu ga anu ya. Gee ya bụ ife o ji maka ya wee bịa n'iru akwụkwọ. Ị ga-esi ya bụ ife drop right feature n'ụdị nke gị. All right, over to you, sir.
Last and the first section of Nnamdi Kanu case with Justice James Omotosho, he fixed 29th of next month for the federal government to provide witness to testify against Nnamdi Kanu. Now, this is where the challenge started coming from the government side. Nnamdi Kanu case supposed not to, last up to this point if the federal government has provided witness against Nnamdi Kanu. This is over 10 years now that they have been trying Kanu. Up to today, the federal government of Nigeria have not been able to provide one witness to testify against Kanu based on the allegation of terrorism that they are charging him. Just like the case of Omoyole Sowore, over 5 years he was detained in Abuja. Federal government could not call one witness. The only witness that came to testify, of which they bribed him, the only witness that came to testify against Omoyole Sowore said that he heard Sowore saying there will be revolution. That was how court struck it out and said, you hear someone saying there will be revolution, it's not a testimony. Which kind of revolution? Is a revolution a crime? What kind of revolution were they talking about? You understand that kind of shenanigan the federal government is just putting forward to disgrace themselves. Now, this issue of Nnamdi Kanu, the reason why it is so interesting is because, take a look. In the year 2016, during this time, the federal government asked the court that people they are bringing to testify against Nnamdi Kanu, that no one is agreeing to come to testify against Nnamdi Kanu, that they have resorted, that they are going to mask witnesses. Okay? But the Federal High Court told them that masked witnesses can't testify against Kanu. This is interesting, okay? Because federal government, they don't have any witness. So what they wanted to do, they wanted to pay people to come and testify against Kanu. And the report we got, that 2016, they wanted to pay Igbos, people from the southeast, they wanted to pay them to come and testify against Kanu. But those people said, our people from southeast will know us. Let us wear masks to come to court. That was how court struck it out and said, no, if you want to come and testify against somebody, you must open up your face, let people know that you are saying the truth. If you wear mask to come and testify against Kanu, meaning all your testimonies are false. And I learned that all these things were carried out by Southeast governors then. They wanted to send their people, bribe them, give them money to come and testify against Kanu. But federal government did not agree. Now, this Justice Tosho, I think is the leader now, the head of the Federal High Court. Then, the case came to his table. He was the one that struck the case out. According to Cable, Justice John Tosho of the Federal High Court Abuja has ruled against the application of the federal government to mask its witness in the trial of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and director of Radio Biafra. Do you now understand? The same problem the federal government had before that made them to start, I will not say promoting, that made them to start, just frustrating. They started frustrating the court process so that Nnamdi Kanu will not just gain freedom easily. That led to 2017. They granted Nnamdi Kanu freedom in 2017 because federal government could not call one witness against Nnamdi Kanu. Now, Justice James Omotosho gave them only 1 month now to call the same witness. The same witness they could not call for over 10 years is what they gave them 1 month to call. The first question I am asking is, who is going to testify against Nnamdi Kanu? Who? If they give you 1 billion to come and lie against Nnamdi Kanu in court, do you have the cause to do that? Because first of all, we know that they don't have neutral witness or witnesses, people who can genuinely come and say, we want to testify about what? Okay, now the case of the federal government has to do with Radio Biafra. Radio Biafra was where? In London. So the Federal High Court Abuja don't have jurisdiction. That was why appeal court before struck out the case of Nnamdi Kanu again. So we are going to witness interesting days ahead. But the issue of calling of witness is what is happening now, because the report I got today is not a confirmed report at all. Okay, someone told me from Abuja that the federal government, part, because they are the plaintiff, they are the one prosecuting Nnamdi Kanu, that they are looking for people who can come and testify for Nnamdi Kanu, and they will reward them with any amount of money. If this is true, it is laughable, and it is dangerous on Tinubu's government part. Okay, it is dangerous on their part. Now, I will blame Tinubu for this because everything stops at his table. But I will not blame him too much. Like the issue that is happening in Rivers, a lot of people are blaming Tinubu. No. Wike is the one telling Tinubu what to do in Rivers because of what they could benefit tomorrow. People should understand how everything worked. Now, yesterday, Omoyolo Shewore was at TVC. Okay, TVC television, Tinubu's television. So he was talking about the issue of Nnamdi Kanu. Why they asked him, why do you always go to court? Anytime Nnamdi Kanu have case in court, why do you always go to court? This is what Omoyolo Shewore said. He talks about Nnamdi Kanu's freedom and his detention is unjust. Okay, he said that he was part of the people who were talking about the release of Nnamdi Kanu, that there was a committee that were discussing about his release far back. Okay, now a message came from Imo State that if Nnamdi Kanu is released, Imo State election will not happen. Because of that, election was not, Nnamdi Kanu release talk was suspended. So if they tell you that Southeast governors or Southeast politicians are responsible for all this elongation of Nnamdi Kanu's trial, believe, because everything is not only about Tinubu. Tinubu can't act alone if people from those states did not tell him to do it. He can't act alone. If he act alone, they will leave him alone. That is politics. People should understand structure in politics. So, take a listen to what Omoyolo Shewore said.
And Nigeria for a little bit and make things work.
All right, then, before we go, I would like to ask you this. I see you in court. I see videos of you in court every time Nnamdi Kanu appears in court. And this case has lingered for too long and so long. Shouldn't we be talking about a political solution now to resolve all of these and probably give closure to the people of the Southeast and maybe peace too?
You know, one thing I find very difficult to understand is why, no matter who is occupying position of power, something is always absent all the time. And that's part of why we are discussing this Rivers. It's like there's absence of common sense on the corridors of power. I think because there are just too many sycophants in Nigeria. The Kanu situation didn't need to last one day longer than the day Buhari left. Kanu was Buhari's personal prisoner because those people, the Buharis of this world, believe that Nigeria is a real estate that must be held together, it must be united. But you would think that people who claim they have broad minds about what Nigeria is, the diversity of Nigeria, the crisis, is the first person they would have done. The first person they would have let go is Nnamdi Kanu, because didn't we let go Sunday Igboho? Are we not? Have we burned down Yoruba land? Before Buhari left, I was one of the people fighting for Ezaki. The argument by those who were opposed to his release was that if he comes, he will burn down Kaduna. Ezaki has been out of jail now for how long? He doesn't even have time for Nigeria. He has become an international ambassador for Nigeria. He goes to Lebanon, Iran. I've seen him in Iraq. He has not had time to even rebuild his area base. That shows to you that what of some of the fear mongering that happens on the corridors of power is driven by unreasonableness, and that is why I just want to say, look, eventually they are going to resolve the issue politically, because the political issue is a self-determination matter. There's no court of law that can resolve Kanu's matter. Even if he's found guilty by their own standards, it's still going to be he's a political prisoner forever.
Some people have also said that there are also some interests political interests, even from his region, who do not want him to be free.
We know that because I was earlier in, I think, 2023. I was part of some conversation to release him. And what came straight was from Imo State, that he can't be released before the election in Imo State, that he will affect them. And after that, everybody kept coming and said, don't release him, and here we are.
All right, we have to go now.
Yeah, that was a straight talk from Omoyole Sowore. Okay? If you release him, he's going to disrupt the election in Imo State. And after that, the people started coming, don't release him, and that was how we find ourselves today. It is a very simple thing to understand. Though that might not be the only reason why Nnamdi Kanu remains in detention. The other factors from the federal government and the northern elders who told Tinubu that if you release Nnamdi Kanu, they will leave Nigeria. You know, people also talk about the Britain's quest that Nigeria must remain one, and so on and so forth. But I think all those ones are external factor. If people, the Igbos, wanted Nnamdi Kanu to be released, sorry to use the word Igbo, if their political elites or politicians, governors want him to be released, I think it's not going to take more than 2 weeks, okay? If they come out to tell Tinubu today, if you don't release this man, there's going to be problem. Look at. He will release him immediately. A president don't intervene in states if the governor did not invite him to do that. People should know this and have peace. So that is apart. Now, coming to the issue of witness, okay, I was allegedly told that the federal government, they are allegedly looking for people who is going to testify for Nnamdi Kanu with a tone of 10 million naira. I don't know how true that is, but as I said before, if that thing is, is true, it's a very bad thing, and it's going to go a long way to harm them as well. As I said before, a witness that you could not call for over 10 years. Is it 1 month you will call the witness? Let us see who is coming to testify against Nnamdi Kanu that day. Let's see who will come and testify against Nnamdi Kanu, okay? If they like, let them go and import people from outside the country. If they want to do election, they will go to Niger, Chad to import Fulani people. Not Nigerians, not Nigerians. They will go and import people from outside the country to come and fight for them. Do all those things. Let's see if they will still go and import Fulani from outside the country to come and testify against Nnamdi Kanu, because this is what they are found of doing. Okay? We are watching and see who we have the guts to come and lie in court against Nnamdi Kanu, because as far as I'm concerned, federal government game is finished. Their game is finished. Their last game was their inability to change, to retain Justice Binta Nyako. They wanted Nyako to stay there and convince Nnamdi Kanu. Nyako was not shifting ground. She was not respecting Supreme Court rule. She was not doing anything. So after the pressure from Nnamdi Kanu and so on and so forth, they now remove her. That was the last game. Now, calling of witness has been the weakness of the federal government in this case. So as I said before, let's see what is going to happen before then.
So if anybody, when Nigerian citizens see the details of the Supreme Court statement today, they will marvel at how, after saying all these illegalities that the federal government and their security agencies committed, all they had to do was that the primary court said, the appeal court said that the primary court had no jurisdiction. So they condemned the appeal court for taking that decision. Therefore, because the primary court had jurisdiction, the case should go back to them. So if in all these atrocities they committed, they had killed Nnamdi Kanu, what will be the basis of the primary court and its jurisdiction? What will be the basis of it? When I studied, I talked about judicial rascality. So what it empowers is security rascality. Because you cannot tell other police, army, navy, air force, condemn them plainly, and then you exonerate them. So you give them license to kill Nigerians, just like they are doing in Plateau, killing people. They are doing in Benue. Herdsmen are killing people. But you haven't had any person in this country condemn the herdsmen of Nigeria for killing hundreds of thousands of Nigerians. You haven't had them condemn the killings in southern Kaduna. So the security agencies are being encouraged to recklessness. And recklessness not about spoken word. Recklessness with gun, killing Nigerian citizens. So if anybody, when Nigerian citizens see the details of the Supreme Court statement today, they will marvel at how, after saying all these illegality that the federal government and their security agencies committed. All they had to do was that the primary court said, the appeal court said that the primary court had no jurisdiction. So they condemned the appeal court for taking that decision. Therefore, because the primary court had jurisdiction, the case should go back to them. So if in all these atrocities they committed, they had killed Nnamdi Kanu, what will be the basis of the primary court and its jurisdiction? What will be the basis of it? And look at the whole panel, about 7 judges, not one Igbo man, not one person from the southeast, not one person from the south. So it's a contrived business to put that boy, to put him behind bar. And we have been asking that they should turn him to Kuje prison. They refuse. Why wouldn't they allow him to go to Kuje prison? Why keep him at the DSS? Why? So it shows you that Nigeria is not interested in fighting insecurity. Because if they were interested and they love this country, they would have seen that Nnamdi Kanu is a major instrument that will bring security. Southeast will be a beginning. The other parts of the country would have been a follow-up. So it's unfortunate that you condemn security forces for the crimes they commit and you exonerate them by keeping Nnamdi Kanu there and asking that we go back again, to start case from, Federal High Court Africa. What actually is the sin of Nnamdi Kanu? Asking for justice for everything. That's what he's saying. That the Southeast has been completely, excommunicated from everything that happens in this country. So we pray that this young man, I don't know whether you have had the privilege to speak with him, one of the most brilliant young men you can ever come across. Not only is he brilliant, but well spoken. Why this country shows you that we have no values. Can you imagine a boy that a whole zone respects? A whole zone respects him. Who else, apart from M.I. Okpara in those days and Dr. Nnamdi Kanu, they don't have as much respect as this young man. That would have been an advantage for Tinubu and his government with the National Security Advisor to say, look, how do we seriously start to curb this insecurity in the country? If this boy is so loved by his people, why don't we sit him down and discuss with him, know where he's coming from? If there are things he's agitating against we can solve, we start doing something. And look at Northwest and Northeast. Look at where the country is today. Everywhere is war, killing people. Killing is no more, it's an admirable, concept in Nigeria now. Any day nobody is killed, you don't hear it, then it's abnormal. But in the normal day, hundreds killed in herdsmen in Plateau Plateau, in southern Kaduna, in the southeast, then not to talk of the bandits and Boko Haram in northeast and northwest. That one is a daily occurrence, killing hundreds of them. We're a country without statistics. If we have good statistics, people will riot to know the number of Nigerians who are dying. Every town now, in all parts of the country, people are burying people. People go to bed, they won't wake up. So it's all cumulative effect of total insecurity. Probably you do work somewhere, nobody pays you. You are working for somebody, you are not paid. You go to bed, you are thinking of what you will tell your wife in the morning. You can't pay school fees. The man goes to bed and won't wake up. And will say, God, please take my life. Why am I living? When a man cannot take care of his immediate family, what life is it anymore? And you don't want people to react. Young men leave school, no work. And they see somebody who rigged an election and goes to Abuja and he buys a armored plated jeep for 160 million, and you want him to go and sleep. His parents sell their property to train our young men and women, and they come out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They can't say good morning, thank you to their parents. They look at their parents without any hope of tomorrow. Parents who have trained their children, we should have hope that their children should get back to take care of them. But it's not the case in Nigeria. And we don't appear, our legislators are not interested. The executive all over the place are not interested. So I don't know how this problem will be sorted out. I normally find it very difficult to discuss a profession that I'm not one. But common sense also tells you that you can reason. If somebody is talking, you can reason. But it's painful because some patriotic Igbos, I saw 1 or 2 senators there who left everything they were doing to come to the Supreme Court with some hope. Because if you listen to the judgment of the appeal court, it was fundamentally very literate, accommodating on every aspect of it. So people were very hopeful that the appeal court will uphold the judgment of the Court of Appeal. I mean, the Supreme Court will uphold the judgment of the Court of Appeal, and that would have been a case done for. But unfortunately, because if you were in the Supreme Court, like I was, we were there as early as 8:30 in the morning, and when he started running this judgment, on every aspect of that case, he condemned it. The Supreme Court condemned the federal government of Nigeria. In fact, they used the word illegality not less than 20 times. The killing of people at Nnamdi Kanu's father's compound, they even named the number of people killed, the rendition from Kenya, how he was kidnapped. I mean, it was difficult to believe that after condemning the security services for unauthorized and unorthodox behavior, kidnapping Nigerians and killing people anyhow, I have never seen a court with that kind of finality in terms of condemning public officers who were working for government, telling them, you don't take the laws into your hands, only to finally, because they said they disagreed with the appeal court, that the lower court had no jurisdiction. It was the basis of what they are doing, that they should now go back to that court because it has jurisdiction to hear the case in the first place. That's someone left. So if Nnamdi Kanu dies, after all this illegality, what case are they going to hear? This boy has been under detention for how many years now? Even the Supreme Court was asking all these questions too. The illegality that has been meted against him, and yet they still will go back again to the federal high courts, where we then will start begging for bail. He even condemned the government, that court, for revoking his bail. That was the exact statement of the Supreme Court. So you don't even know the basis of their final decision. So when people say that there is a judicial rascality in this country, you cannot but agree with those people, because unless it affects you, you won't appreciate why they said so. Because when you at the whole Supreme Court, everybody bent his face down. All lawyers were so astonished. To talk of embarrassment is an understatement. But in all cases, as a Christian, we give glory to God.
Ndị be anyị gwadalụli nenu dịka unu si wee sore n'ụbọchị urochi nke taa Eastern News 24 ka efi were ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife ndị a niile aji maka wee bịa n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị nke taa dịka esi kwuo nkwa na gị na-ewetere ya bụ update gbasịta maka nwere onwe ndị Igbo na-azọ ndị na-eme n'obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya. Unu anụgo n'iko si wee gbata wee kwuru anyị ga-alapụ unu ka unu rie atụ ya bụ ife aji maka wee bịa n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị nke taa ka anyị mara ifu nche n'ụdị nke unu mgbanụ ka emesịa n'ụmụnne m.